So the recordings will be available after. Welcome, Alan and Zane.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Zane, the construction manager for Winslow Infrastructure on the project, overseeing the planning, procurement, and the construction phase works.
And Alan, you're on mute. Just down the bottom of the screen, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. It's what happens with live
difficulties.
sessions.
I'm Alan Campbell, the Environmental and Sustainability Manager at Winslow Infrastructure. I manage the progress towards environmental and sustainability project and company objectives, as well as keep an eye out for environmental and sustainability innovations that can help us reach those objectives.
So let's start by talking about what the project is that we're going to be discussing today.
So the project is a new model. It's a Alliance and Design and Construct hybrid arrangement model. It's a road duplication project for MRPV in Melbourne Southeast called Lathams Road Upgrade. The project involved duplication and widening of about 2.5 kilometres of road in Carrum Downs and Seaford from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. It includes a new bridge over the Mornington Peninsula Freeway, upgraded East Links ramp, and an upgrade of two minor intersections and 1 major intersection being Frankston Dandenong Road.
So what sort of recycled materials did you actually use on this project, and what were the applications?
On this project, we've been lucky enough to utilise a large range of recycled or sustainable products. I'm not going to go into all of them, they're up on the screen, but we've got on site various different types of recycled plastic pipes, recycled safety tactiles, Vinadex Storm Pro pipes, a lot of crushed concrete, recycled crushed concrete. Our rumble mats are made out of recycled plastic. Pit lids are made out of fiberglass, so we don't have any concrete requirements there. We use a lot of recycled glass sand. We reuse all of our asphalt profilings, and we got various different types of asphalt with different recycled components. And probably most importantly, we use Polyrok non-structural concrete mix, which has a 20% aggregate replacement from Boral and Polyrok, of course.
So is this material business as usual, or is it innovative, the Polyrok?
This product is an innovation. It's only been used a handful of times, largely on trial basis and in small trials. It's never been used on an infrastructure project. However, here at Lathams, Winslow is using the product wherever possible in non-structural concrete applications across the alignment. And to showcase this innovation, we've put forward the use of Polyrok as a market transformation innovation in our ISCA design rating due to its first on a major infrastructure project.
It's great. It's great to see. So why did you select this material, apart from sort of being clearly wanting to sort of incorporate recycling as much as possible?
Probably to answer this question, it's best to introduce the problem we face in Polyrok itself. One of the biggest challenges facing the world and the recycling industry is plastics, and in particular soft plastics present a complex problem for the Australian recycling industry. Majority of soft plastics in Australia is sent straight to landfill, where it takes up to 500 years to degrade, or it's stored in warehouses. So with the ban of export of plastics to other countries, we need to find a solution for the existing stockpiles of plastics and the 800,000 tonnes of plastic manufactured here in Australia each year. And Polyrok could be one of these solutions. They utilise the soft plastic that can't currently be recycled in a traditional way, taking a waste stream that would be generally stored or buried and turning it into a resource. And that resource is a product that replaces mineral aggregate in concrete. So initial consultation with Polyrok, shed more light on the problem. Polyrok sources its soft plastic from the Red Cycle program, which I'm sure a lot of people might be aware, but it's the program where consumers drop off various soft plastics to about 1,800 supermarket locations around Australia. So about 2 million pieces of soft plastic are dropped off in Australia each day. And unfortunately, the majority of this plastic is either stored or sent to landfill at the moment. So ultimately, when we were assessing the potential recycled materials to use on the project, Polyrok being one of the handful of entities in the world utilizing recovered soft plastics to enhance building materials, it was a no-brainer to include Polyrok in our commitment on our Recycled First plan. Just better throw some facts at you. For every cubic meter of Polyrok concrete laid has the equivalent of 17,000 pieces of plastic, soft plastic.
Right.
It'll be saved from storage or landfill. And with our initial commitment of 600 cubic meters on Lathams, it's over 10 million pieces of soft plastic that'll be built into the Lathams Road project and diverted from landfills or storage.
That's fantastic.
Zane, did you want to talk on some of the engineering benefits?
Yeah, so we have a few, some of the facts. The inclusion of the Polyrok aggregate in the concrete means the material becomes lighter, reducing the haulage cost and also the greenhouse gas emissions from that transport, and is also more thermally efficient and durable. It's compatible with all the existing plant operations and processes, so there's no changes there. It decreases reliance on the typical mineral aggregates and can be recyclable at the end of the life. Concrete provides an oxygen and UV-free environment, so it's a great storage for plastic. And there's been some abrasion testing conducted by RMIT, which found an 11% higher abrasion resistance than standard concrete. So the risk of formation of microplastics due to abrasion is negligible.
Interesting. So what is the recycled composition of the material? Have we covered that? Not quite, have we?
No, we're using the Boral Polyrok curb and footpath mix, non-structural. So that contains approximately 20% Polyrok recycled plastic as a virgin mineral aggregate replacement. So there's about 20 kgs of recycled soft plastic Polyrok per cubic meter of concrete.
The potential's huge, isn't it, really, with Polyrok?
It's huge.
Yeah. So why did you pick recycled materials over an alternative? I guess it's a bit of a no-brainer, but let's tell us anyway.
Well, yeah, there's just not many alternatives in the soft plastic space. Unfortunate alternative was using standard concrete mix with standard quarried aggregates. Also, Polyrok are a local business to Carrum Downs. It's just around the corner to our project. And we reached out to them in the design phase and confirmed its suitability for use in the infrastructure space, and particularly our curbs and footpaths.
So I think, obviously one of the things that people here are interested in is what the process was like to get Polyrok into the ground. That's the challenge, isn't it, sometimes?
Yeah, so given we've only been using Polyrok in non-structural applications like curb and footpath, there were less stringent testing requirements than the typical structural mixes. So we had the MRPV and DOT support for this new innovation. Polyrok produces the recycled material, and in our case, deliver it to the Boral mixing facility and plants. When Boral receives the order, they mix the Polyrok straight into the mix of the concrete at the plant. Boral then delivers that business as usual to our site where we install it on the ground. Other concrete companies are also supplying the mix. We've heard that Hanson can produce and deliver a similar product.
What challenge do you face? Was it difficult? I mean, you've obviously done it, so you've managed to get through them, but How difficult was that? What was required?
We did face a few hurdles, obviously, with any innovation going into the infrastructure space. So firstly, approvals, while not being a major hurdle, the process was relatively easy. The mix did require specific approval from council, MRPV and DOT, of course, which does take time. Frankston City Council were already aware of the product and had previously approved some small Polyrok trials, so they're happy that we were supporting a local business and that it was going to be used in an infrastructure setting. MRPV approved the borrow mix for non-structural elements reasonably quickly, and so did DOT. Overall, the approval process was relatively easy, and then it combined with a trial we had on Lathams Road. So we laid the curb and then had to wait until asphalt had been poured against the mix to assess its strength and cracking. So there was a bit of a delay, you know, when you add up the approvals and then the trial. But once it passed our assessments, it's been used pretty widely across the project.
Okay.
Another hurdle was supply, pretty minor in nature, but due to the specialist nature of the product and mixing, there are only 2 borrow plants currently that could supply the mix. So there was some initial confusion with our ordering system. Some loads came from different processing plants that were just normal concrete mix. However, that was ironed out very quickly, and Boral's been really great with the supply chain.
Right.
Another one is Polyrok still to undergo a greenhouse gas analysis or a life cycle analysis of their production process. So we're unable to quantify any potential greenhouse gas reductions from using the material and replacing standard quarried aggregate. It'd be really good for our sustainability reporting if we could include that. And lastly, and most significantly, it's the cost. The Polyrok mix attracts a slightly higher cubic meter price, as well as there's a specialized concrete washout fee for each load that comes. So it does make the mix significantly more expensive than standard curb mix. We're looking about an average at the moment of 30% more expensive. So, you know, it is worth considering. A choice was made by Winslow Infrastructure to accept the additional cost and approve Polyrok in order to achieve improved sustainability outcomes, support a local supplier, and tackle the soft plastic problem. Polyrok itself has indicated that their prices will become directly competitive with natural aggregate as their production capacity grows. So we should see some cost savings there. And, you know, the Boral and other concreting companies haven't confirmed whether the washout fee will be waived if demand increases, but we see the demand for this mix increasing in time. So we're hoping a specialized washout, which adds the majority of the cost, being normalized. And this mix being, you know, becoming more competitive.
Yeah. And you were saying, you mentioned that it's lighter and so do you save in transport costs and in other costs that might offset
absolutely
the washout cost a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and we'd like to see some of those costs passed on. Obviously, hauling quarried material into central cement processing plants, there's a huge cost in that, plus greenhouse gas emissions that we're all saving. Polyrok material is, you can transfer a lot of soft plastic in one go. So obviously Polyrok is a local business here in Carrum Downs. So there's nowhere near as much distance or weight being transported around the roads.
Yeah, quite a few benefits there. So will you continue to use it?
Yeah, absolutely. We've budgeted for 600 cubes of Polyrok mixed concrete to be utilised on the project. At the moment, we've poured about 120 cubic metres, The concreters installing the mix have also actually stated that it's easier to work with than the standard mixers, and we're finding it's less prone to cracking.
Right.
We will continue to use it whenever and wherever we can for shared use path, curb and channel mixers, and other non-structural mixers. And other Winslow sites are now also looking into adapting Polyrok into their projects.
Oh, fantastic. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's lots of information there, but any last words of wisdom, because we've got 7 questions sitting in the Q&A.
Not so much wisdom, but I think we can see with such a big push from the big builds, recycled first policies. It's really exciting to see products like Polyrok come into the market that are genuinely going to have a pretty big impact to some of the recycling problems we've got in Victoria and Australia. So it's really good to see. Hopefully there'll be more innovations coming out soon.
Yeah, and this one, I mean, just it seems like it's a pretty easy one to incorporate. Okay, well, we've got 7 questions sitting there, so we'll go to the questions. I don't know if you addressed this. I know we spoke about it the other day. Can Polyrok be recycled perpetually or need a tailored segregation process to recover recycle?
It's a really good question. Something that Polyrok it can be recycled perpetually. However, I've asked for some clarification on that, what the exact process, but they have asserted it is. So again, we're still gathering some information in this regard.
Yeah. Another second question is, did you conduct a life cycle assessment on the project and would be interested to see any carbon savings from avoiding mineral extraction? It'd be great to have all that information, I think, at some point.
Yeah, we haven't conducted a life cycle assessment yet. It's probably something we'll do in between our design and as-built submission to see if we've got any carbon savings. But yeah, watch the space. Hopefully we'll get that out once completed.
Yeah, that will be really good to see, and particularly, we can talk about Polyrok a bit more. This is sort of the same, but has any testing been done on the life cycle applications for concrete containing Polyrok? And do we know if there's a risk of negative environmental impacts from microplastic leachate?
So Polyrok has done studies on this. I'm just pulling up my other notes. They have done studies, so the way that the Polyrok is encased in the concrete, it vastly reduces the instances of microplastics. I can't find the exact facts, but yes, studies have been done, and Polyrok thinks it can prove that there's no wearing or soft plastics or microplastics in waterways. So I think RMIT might have done the abrasion testing.
Right. And we've got, there's a couple of fact sheets which I can either send out to people. I can't seem to paste them into the PDF into the doc. So I can send to everyone at the end of this, which is a case study that Lathams have done, Winslow have done on Lathams, and also some information from Polyrok that Alan has sent through to me. Another question, did you consider using SEMs like fly ash in the concrete? Is that compatible with Polyrok, or would it not make any sense to do that?
Yes, we have. I believe some of our other mix incorporate that, but I don't think it's compatible with Polyrok at this point. I'd have to confirm that.
Yeah, and this one is it used in structural? I think we've said that it's in non-structural, but I guess we can
confirm.
Further to look at that is, do we know whether it affects the performance in terms of strength of the concrete, or are we just too early in the usage of that at this stage?
I can probably answer that one. Yeah, so there's no evidence that the strength is altered in the mixes we're using it for. I think it's pretty early days, and It's only a matter of time till that probably does get adopted in the structural mixes. It's just how stringent the road authority or whatever government body we're working with have for their specifications for concrete. So there's a rigorous testing regime for the approval of structural mixes, which that process hasn't started yet, but I don't see why it wouldn't in the future.
And I guess there's still quite a lot you can do in the non-structural, isn't there? I mean, there's quite a lot of concrete that you'd be using that you could use this in. Would that be right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose what we classify as structural concrete is any bridge works or any drainage structures and precast elements. Everything else, so your typical day-to-day concrete is non-structural. So your vehicle crossings and things like that are also included in that band.
Yes, it's quite a lot we can still do with it. Well, this question, I think we've how recyclable is it, and has there been any research? We've just talked about that. Is there any study information regarding end of life scenarios for Polyrok?
Yeah, that's the same question again.
Yeah,
I think
too early, isn't it?
we've only been asserted from Polyrok. I'm not sure exactly what studies they've done, but it's something maybe I'll put out in my information pack.
With respect to greenhouse gas emissions, would it be better than the aggregates recycled materials?
We think so. I mean, obviously, as I sort of explained in the presentation, that with quarried materials, especially in Melbourne, running low, we're going to be sourcing quarried materials from regional Victoria. So, think about the weight and fuel cost of bringing that into the concrete processing plants in Melbourne. So, if we can take a resource that is already stacked up in warehouses in Melbourne, process it in Melbourne and transport it to the various cement plants, I think there will be significant greenhouse gas emission reductions, which is exciting.
Yeah, that's great. And the transport is such a huge issue, isn't it? Someone said, oh yeah, no, we've already answered that question. And does Polyrok impact curing times?
Not no, according to the monitoring we've done after installation.
How long have you been installing it? Was it July or something that you started?
Could have even been earlier. I think
Was
it would have been about April was the first trial mix we did, was curb and channel. The feedback from the concreters was if we hadn't told them, they wouldn't have even known that it was a different mix. And then after they did know, they commented on how they thought it was actually a lot easier to work with.
Yeah, which is, I know with plastic pipes, they talk about the fact that when things are easier and lighter, there's a cost saving in labour and time and all of that sort of thing as well. Did you find that?
Probably not directly for this one, as it comes out of, I suppose, the back of a concrete agi. I suppose all the savings are sort of seen at the plan and on the road. Different to concrete pipes, which we have seen those sort of savings that you spoke of. Yeah,
cool. So the last question we have at this stage is which we did cover, but might be worth reiterating. What percentage addition was used, and is there any? The second part is there any change in the appearance of the concrete?
You can go.
Technical.
I was going to say it's about 20 kilos per cubic meter, which doesn't sound like much, but when you consider how light plastic is, it's obviously a fair chunk. And there's no visible change in the concrete. So we actually had to monitor and mark up on our drawings where we did the trials to be able to go and double check what the long-term, I suppose, quality and structural integrity sort of changes may be, which were negligible, obviously.
Will it be formally, we formally go back and check it, or is that just something that'll happen as part of like a maintenance regime?
So the trial phase was when we're installing it, and and then the next day, and then weekly, and then obviously monthly for that 28-day curing. And then also after we did some extensive vibrating next to it when the asphalt layers went in. And now it'll all just be part of our ongoing maintenance at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, good. We've got more questions. They keep coming in. Is the replacement of a particular size of aggregate or a range of sizes?
That's
a good question.
Good question. Yeah, I would say a
standard
range.
size.
Yeah, so it is. Our concrete mixers are 14/20 mil mixers. So you probably can quote me. I would assume. Yeah, there is a range there up to a maximum of 20 mil.
And the last one that we have at this stage is, does Polyrok concrete mix require additional water content in the mix?
That I'm aware of.
Good question. No, not to my knowledge either.
Yeah. It sort of sounds like it's fairly standard. That's what you were saying, I think, wasn't it, before? It's pretty straightforward sort of replacement.
Yeah, that's right. It's more
sure.
purely just the aggregate change rather than any other factors.
Well, we're up to 1 minute to 1 o'clock, so we've done pretty well. I'll just keep an eye for any last minute questions. You can email us at ecologiQ. I'll pop up our I'll reshare my screen. You can email us at better go back to that one, at ecologiq at roadprojects.vic.gov.au, and we can provide any further information or put you on to Alan and perhaps Zane. I'm happy to send all of the slides out to people. I'm having trouble with my screen, sorry. I'm happy to send any of the, so here we go. Is it gonna work? Yeah, no, yeah, here we go. Sorry, I've had some technical issues with my PowerPoints for a couple of days, but I think this is working now. Let's see. No, it's not. We're not having any luck. Don't worry. That's fine. Oh, forget that sharing. So yeah, email us at ecologiq at roadprojects.vic.gov.au if you want anything, or email anyone in ecologiq if you don't remember that. We've also got a website on the Big Build website. If you just put ecologiq at vic.gov.au and it should take you to the Big Build website and to the ecologiq section. You can put questions into there, or you can email me, Cheryl.West at roadprojects.vic.gov.au. I'll go through the registration list and I'll send those documents out that Alan shared with me, which is a case study on Lathams Road and also some information from Polyrok, or you can Google Polyrok. Thank you for attending today. It looks like we've got one more quick question. Do you think there could be issues if using in conjunction with eMesh, Reconifelt, etc.?
Potentially. It'd have to be a question for Polyrok. I'm not sure putting more sort of more things in the concrete would work, but yeah, that's a question for Polyrok for sure.
Yeah. Okay, and hopefully. I'm sure if people Google Polyrok, they'd be very happy to answer questions. They're very keen to see this used more, and it's great to see it being used on Lathams Road. I will finish there. Thank everyone for coming. Thanks for being a part of our first session. Thanks so much, Alan and Zane. That was great. Some fantastic information. And next week, I will shoot out those PDFs to the registration list for today. This session is also recorded and it's on our knowledge share. So if you don't have access to the knowledge share, again, just email us at ecologiq@roadprojects.vic.gov.au. Is that right? Oh, my brain's not working today. But yeah, shoot us an email or else jump on our website and send us a question. And once again, Thank you. And the recordings will be available for you next week. Thanks. Thanks, Zane. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, guys.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thanks
Bye.
for having us.
Thank you.